How's it going, fam? It's Erica with Not Your Average EDC. Happy Friday. We are on week 2 of the testing of the Chris Reeve knives, and I owe you guys an update. So, I have noticed some interesting things this week, and I think this is going to be a little touchy for some people, but we're just going to try to go over it respectfully, okay? So, this week, in using all of these knives, which, by the way, I brought in the inlay one as well because somebody was like, where's the inlay one? Did you get rid of it? Where did it go? I'm like, no, we have it. I didn't think I had to carry 4 Chris Reeve knives all at the same time, but I think we do. So people don't think I sold it. It's right here. Okay. So I've been carrying all of these, right? And comparing them and contrasting them because they all have different qualities and different edges and all that good stuff. So I've been carrying all of them and I've been using them extensively. Now, somebody in the comments the other day was like, they said something along the lines of they would never get a Chris Reeve knife because they are outdated and they don't have the modern day qualities for the price tag. And at first I was like, well, that's an idiotic comment. But then I was really thinking about it and looking at the knives, and I don't agree with what that person said at all. But I do think I understand where they're coming from. I just don't think that they thought that comment through all the way. So what I have noticed about these knives is that, yes, obviously they're not fidgety. They don't have the thinnest geometry. They aren't the new latest and greatest. They aren't. But I don't think that you can call these outdated. I think that the knife community has just changed and the focal point of interest in the community has completely surpassed all of the qualities of a Chris Reeve. So if you handle one nowadays, you might think that they're a little outdated. So right now, the trend, the fad, everything that we're obsessed with is thin, slicey geometry. We're obsessed with heat treats. We're obsessed with the new latest and greatest steel. We're obsessed with specific types of sharpening. All we watch and think about and focus on is geometry right now. So if you are handling one of these and trying to cut through cardboard with one, then yeah, you might be like, well, this is not really the best thing in the world right now. But I don't think it has anything to do with these knives themselves. The thing about the Chris Reeve knives is that they're perfection, right? And you can't really improve anything on them because in terms of design, they're perfect. So what Chris Reeve was intending to do was to create kind of a jack-of-all-trades knife that can handle anything you throw at it, that has a very long lifetime in terms of sharpening, durable, robust, strong, just something that you can hand down to your children or your grandkids one day. Just because we as consumers have changed the direction of how we use our knives, that does not mean that these are outdated or anything. I don't think these need improvements. I don't think that they need anything more. I don't think that they should have thinner, slicier blades. I don't think any of that is relevant. This whole geometry obsession and heat treat obsession is going to blow over at some point. I really do think that, because it's not like we are going to be obsessed with it forever. Like, you're gonna get a couple of your thin slicey knives and then what? You know? It'll pass. It'll all blow over. So I don't think that these are outdated, and I don't think that you should listen to the parroters that are like, you know, these are outdated. Don't bother wasting your money on a Chris Reeve. They're not worth it anymore. You can get way better. No, you can't. No, you can't. You can get different knives if you want things that are going to move through cardboard better, but it's not like these are just, you know, gonna go extinct. They're never going to, because they weren't intended to be slicing through cardboard all day. They were intended for many other things. So that was just a comment that was really interesting to me, because I don't believe that they're ever gonna become outdated. And they're such a pleasure to use, and you can lay the edge back and get better slicing capabilities on these, absolutely. So if you're looking for it to be a better slicer, then just lay the edge back. But that whoever said that was just, you know, they're obviously uneducated. So we have 2 knives in the lineup that have 15 DPS edges. I've been using these extensively. So as you can see, these bevels are way thicker than the other 2 that I'm going to bring up in a second. So as you can see, that the bevel itself is thicker as in height, which means it's actually thinner moving through material. So we've got those 2. Check those out. And then we have some stock edges, which I would figure are maybe, you know, 17 or 20 degree edges. So let's bring these in. Notice how these are much thinner, height-wise, much thinner. Okay, so I've been using them all side by side, and 100% the 15 DPS edges move through material a world of a difference better than the original convex edges, okay? So that myth has officially been kind of like debunked, if you will. If you want a better slicer, put a 15 DPS edge on. It's going to make your Chris Reeve perform so much different than it does from the factory. However, with that being said, I have really noticed that these knives are just not, they don't want to do that kind of work all the time. So I have noticed that these knives are, in my opinion, for people that are opening feed bags, maybe cutting, baling twine, maybe processing game, doing things that are not like just cutting cardboard all day. Like, yep, opening packages, good to go. Processing food for your dogs, that's something that I do. Sorry, my shirt is like choking me right now. If you feed your dogs like raw food, or, you know, if they hunt game and you allow them to eat it, like, these knives are absolutely incredible for processing small game like that. I've done it on the channel. You can go check out those videos. They can kind of poke and pry a little bit, and they're not going to break on you. Great at opening those thick plastic packages, not like clamshell, but like any type of thick plastic that you need to cut through. These do fantastic. They're awesome at food prep. Are they the best? No, they're not the best at food prep, but they're definitely very good at it. So you can cut your apples, or if you're cooking out on a trip, you can use a Sebenza. They're really good at real life stuff, is kind of my point. And if you're looking for a knife that's just going to cut through specifically cardboard all day, it's just not going to do it that well. I mean, even if you lay the edge back, the geometry of the blade in conjunction with the blade stock being this thick, it's just not going to move through stuff that easily. But that's not really what it was like created for. Like, this whole cardboard obsession is a very recent thing, and you have to remember that the Sebenza was created many, many years ago, not when cutting cardboard on camera was like the most entertaining thing on YouTube. So that's not what they were meant for. I've been doing a lot of cardboard cutting with them, and they just don't perform that well at that. It's not what they were made for. But if you are like a normal person that does things other than that in your day, these are really fantastic. I've noticed that the hollow grind is just a pleasure to use with average tasks. The edge retention seems to be getting better as you sharpen. Another person in the comments mentioned that the heat treat is garbage on Chris Reeve knives. I'm not seeing that at all. I literally have 4 Chris Reeve knives. They were all made at different times. They all have different steels. They all have different heat treats for the most part, because they were all, you know, they're all so different. Look at these. The 21 has a really, really soft heat treat. These 2 are S45VN. This one is older than this one. This Nkosi is a special edition one from, it was like Knife Center, I think. So they all have kind of like different attributes. None of them have poor heat treats. We know that the 21 was run soft for quite some time, but that was just, that company had to learn and alter things, and they did. You know, enough people complained that these were basically run soft, so not only did they change the S35VN, but they also upped the heat treat. So, again, I feel like you have to educate yourself before you start commenting on things, because, you know, making a blank statement that the heat treat on Chris Reeve knives is poor is like the dumbest thing to say, because the heat treat is actually very good. And you also have to remember what these are geared toward. Again, these are not meant to have edges that are going to last like Maximate cutting through cardboard all the time on camera for YouTube. That's not what these were made for. Do you know how many people run Chris Reeve knives when they're on hunting trips and stuff? A lot. What is it called? The Inyoni that they just made? It's almost like a fixed blade Sebenza. It's gorgeous. But Tim sent them out to hunters to process elk and sheep and all of these different things, because that's what they were originally kind of geared toward. And when you're doing that type of work, these are fantastic, guys. And that's what they were made for. You have to remember, these knives were made for people that are processing game and on trips, maybe doing some camp cooking and maybe doing some farm work and just everyday tasks that aren't as abrasive as cardboard. You know, these knives are meant to be maybe hitting bone during animal processing, and they won't like chip on you. They're supposed to be very easy to maintain. This steel is supposed to be very easy to strop back in the field. That's what these were made for. So again, saying that they have a poor heat treat is really a naive statement in my opinion, because I haven't had that issue at all, and I really beat on these. I literally sent this specific Sebenza through a batoning test that's on the channel, and it was still razor sharp after. And I literally was batoning with this thing. That's one of the dumbest things that you could do with a Sebenza. You'll probably never have to do it, but the lockup is still fantastic. 0 edge damage, still razor sharp after. That's impressive. So again, just something to think about. There are a lot of people that shit on Chris Reeve knives because they don't have enough money to afford one, and then they just like talk shit, you know, just because they can't have one. So then they're like, well, they're garbage. They're not. They're very good knives. They're very good knives for the intended use that they were created for. And then if you're using them for what they were created for, they're a pleasure to use. They're an absolute pleasure. Processing rabbits with these is a blast, seriously. So that's what I've noticed. Obviously, if you're kind of one of those people that wants to try a Chris Reeve knife and you want to do some of that trendy cardboard work, just lay the edge back and it's going to do much better for you. Like, this specific knife just excels at a lot of the stuff I'm throwing at it, and it's all of those slicey tasks. It's just doing way better because of the edge. So I really do recommend that if you wanted to perform better, and you're not as hyper focused on toughness, just take that convex edge off that it comes with, lay the edge back to 15 DPS, and you're going to be experiencing a whole different world of cutting. And as you sharpen, I'm finding that the steel gets better and better. I've done, I want to say, half a dozen sharpenings, maybe more, on this particular Sebenza, and each time that I sharpen it, it actually gets better. It really does. The edge retention is improving more and more. So yeah, you know, that convex edge that they come with isn't for everyone. And once you kind of knock that off and put your own edge on, as you do that, it's going to perform better and better in terms of like edge retention, in my opinion. That convex edge is very much for toughness, but I put my own edge on and the edge retention improved. So just some stuff to think about. You know, it's so trendy right now to want these like fidgety, ceramic ball bearing, flippy, thin, newest, latest, and greatest steel knives. And yeah, they're fun for some people. A lot of people are making content on them because they have to, but it does not mean that these are, you know, gonna go extinct. It doesn't mean that they're bad. It doesn't mean that they're outdated. I have never found a knife that brings so many beautiful characteristics to the table like a Chris Reeve. I just haven't. It doesn't exist. And I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds like fanboy talk, but there's just nothing like it. So I'm still pushing for people to try these. I'm still pushing for people to at least maybe borrow one from a friend to try out, because the tolerances, the attention to detail, everything about these is just such a unique experience. And if you actually use your knives for real life things, there's just nothing like it, man. There really isn't. So that's what I've got for you guys today for the update. In conclusion, as you sharpen these, the edge retention seems to get better and better. If you lay the edge back, you're going to get a totally different slicing experience that is improved over the factory edge. No, they are not fidgety, but yes, they are still relevant and a pleasure to use. And don't listen to Peanut Gallery because they don't know what they're talking about 95% of the time. That's all I've got for you guys today. I will see you on the next video. Go use your shit, learn how to sharpen your knives, and I will see you so soon. I love you all very, very much.